Hello, this is On Imagination, and we are going to talk about new ethics. I love new ethics. And I was thinking about this. I'm fresh into the day of I am. So whenever you do a shift, there's a 3-day adjustment period. Always a 3-day adjustment period. It takes about 3 days for the new ethic to really solidify. So you really don't, you enter the first ethic or you enter any ethic and you get the disorientation, you get the integration. This is actually, let's do this. Let's do the stages of perspective shifting. So the first stage of perspective shifting is the integration. This is when everything you've been working on integrates. It is mind-blowing. It's the first stage. It is the point of epiphany, when everything you have, all the components come together and you get the new point of view and they finally come together. The second thing you get, and this can happen literally like boom, boom, we're talking the speed of synapses, we're talking fast. After integration, you can see the mathematical projections. A mathematical projection is when logic and imagination, logical deduction and imagination happen so fast that you see shit. And it is literally just a mathematical projection laying out your course with the Cartesian coordinate system. That's all it is. And so it would be, if I were to write this out in formula format, and let's go ahead and do that. Actually, yes, let's pull out the whiteboard because I want to document this. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is the stages of perspective shifting. So this is what happens inside every perspective shift. It is embarrassing that it is taking me this long to document it. I just know it. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I'm going, maybe I should document it. So there is stage one is the integration. And let's go ahead and add bullet points. Nope, I want numbers. So it's the integration. And this is what can be marked by the point of epiphany. And then you have you can see the mathematical projection. And the formula for this is a logical deduction plus imagination plus the Cartesian coordinate system plus logical deduction, imagination, Cartesian coordinate system with your y-axis. I want to say it's not the y-axis, it is the highest probability of consequence. There you go. There you go. That's what it is. So we ready for this? AKA a vision. There you go. That's it. A mathematical projection, which has logical deduction plus imagination plus the Cartesian coordinate system with highest probability of consequence, happening all within the speed of synapses. It's the speed of synapses. A vision. So that is stage two. That is the part where a lot of people are like, oh my God, it's okay. It's all right. And then the next one, after that, you have the components, the scattered components. The scattered components is when you can start to see, now I really want to say it's disorientation at this point. It's disorientation. It's disorientation. You are disoriented. And this is where there's overlaps. So you get overlap, which causes disorientation. Overlap, which is out of phase signals. As you have two perspectives inside of you at the same time. leading to disorientation. Delusion. That's why you see multiple things and it's confusing. All right, so then you have scattered components. You can see new shit all over the floor. Or let's science this up. You see new variables all over the place, most of which are undefined. And then you have exhaustion. And you enter into a state of observation, silent contemplation, summary, and observation as you enter a state of comprehension. Talking is very difficult at that stage. That's where I am today. This, by the way, happens around day 3. This is day 1. This is really good, actually. This is day 1. This is nice. I like doing this. This is really handy. I don't know why it's taken me so long to write this all out. I've done it a couple times, but before it was like, let's talk about the physical. There's no more, well, is there itching of the spine? There's no more itching of the spine. Oh my God, through the whole U of I, your spine, your entire everything itches. Now, the itching is gone. So I can honestly report the itching went away probably 4 perspectives ago. So I'm going to go ahead and put that over here. Note, I would say that the spinal itching stopped around the 10th of U of I. It was around there that it stopped. I have not had spinal itching since then. The spinal itching was very interesting. The heat still happens, still occurs. Yeah, heat still occurs. And then this happens anywhere from day 1 to day 2. Scattered components, day 2. Exhaustion happens, that's about 1. Exhaustion takes place between day 1 and day 2. And then silent contemplation. And then it begins the sorting, organizing, labeling, and compartmentalizing of all the stuff, of all the components. And then you settle into the perspective. And I would say that that's day 3. So there you go. Those are the stages of perspective shifting. So 2 new ethics. Equal footing. Mindful preservation. That's a big one. Those are the ethics I walked away with. Equal footing. Mindful preservation of others despite your ignorance. This is a big one. This is the one that's right now really like, and this is it. It's the mindful preservation of others despite your ignorance. I almost want to call it the prime directive. And that's it right there. It's very much at the core. I can see where this feeds the prime directive. Mindful preservation of others despite your ignorance. And it's even though I'm ignorant of your sentience, I still treat you with preservation and respect because I don't know. This is big. Like of all the ethics I have in me, this is the big one. This is at the number 1. That's my priority. This is my priority of my ethic, is mindful preservation of others despite my own ignorance. And I cannot tell you how solid that's in me right now. So these are the two new ethics of the they of I. They don't have words for them, but this is first perspective. And I cannot explain to you enough how strong these ethics are. Like, of all the ethics, these are. I know what that is. You ready for this one? Wow. So that is what you get out of the U of I. I wish everyone would stop hurting. I wish everyone would heal. I wish everyone would self-preserve and nourish instead of attack and defend. It's self-preserve and nourish instead of attack and defend. That's the mindset. I thought I did that. I saw it in my mind's eye, but I didn't write it down. I am loving the they of I. The they of I is just so beautiful. This is what you are learning. See, it's when you get out of it that you go, oh, this is what you're learning. So when you are learning the 12 ethical stages of it's the ingredients. You are literally taking each stage and you are familiarizing yourself with the ingredient. That is what you are doing. You are familiarizing yourself with each ingredient. Every ethical stage is an ingredient to X, to love. And when you step into an ethical stage, you are familiarizing yourself with each ingredient. And then at the end, and then at the 12th, the ingredients, you become a chemist. That's really what it is. At the 12th, you become a chemist. And the ingredients integrate into love. And then you get to see what you were making the entire time. And it did it again. It did it again. That's where I am today, where I'm going, oh, this is what the U of I is. It's the ingredients for loving you. It blows my mind away that community love comes before romantic love. It really blows my mind away. Really, truly. It's really mind-blowing to me. There is such a peace. It's so beautiful. So those are the new ethics of the first perspective of the they of I. I have this massive, I have all these little projects all over, and I'm making my rounds. That's what it feels like today. It feels like I am making my rounds. And I am. And I am taking time out with each and every one of them today, where I am, one moment, I want to upload this into, where do I want to put this? Do I want to put this in Alexandria or Anna Imagination? I'm going to put it in Anna Imagination. I'm really struggling with, the organization is overwhelming for what I'm doing, because there's just so much information. There really, truly is. And fortunately, I have spent a considerable amount of time. I hate how it does it for Anna Imagination. I really hate how that does it. I really hate the back end of all my websites. I love HMS Alexandria. I love the back end of that one, but I can't stand the back end for AnnaImagination.com. I hate it. There's a lot of things where I upload it there and I'm just very frustrated. So I'm going to go ahead actually and load it over there instead, because I just can't stand the format in AnnaImagination.com. So I'm in the process of making my rounds, and I have all of these different things that I do where, yeah, stages of perspective shifting. Yeah, I love to put the science over at AnnaImagination.com. That's the research. I love to do my teaching, though, over at HMS Alexandria. And being able to organize it that way has been a massive relief for me, because it allows me to really take a step back, and it's organized. It's just more organization. And it allows me to, okay, this is the research. This is what I'm testing out. This is what I have the math, the logic, the physics for. Let's put it over here. So if it's been proven, then and by proven as in on paper. So there's two types of proof. There is theoretical proof and then or mathematical proof, and then there is research proof, like hardcore, you've applied it to people proof. So I put everything through logical proof and then mathematical proof and then through physics proof, chemistry proof if it applies. And then I transfer that on over to my website into a class form. So if it goes into my classroom, it's been proven logic, mathematically, and physically. And if I can't, well, I don't, I do it. If I can't, I do it. There is no if I can't. The only thing I speak is logical proof, mathematical proof. If it's in the intuitive stage where I see it and I imagine it, then it's there in that stage. But so it's differently, it's literally the different stages. I could almost go back to the healing garden. And the healing garden is where I like to, that's going to be completely redone. I hate the way it is right now. The healing garden is where it's going to be the healing center. It's where everything's going to go for the healing side of it. And the research side of it's on imagination.com. The HMS Alexandria is the teaching side. So it's absolutely, I'm loving the entire system, the entire way it's made up. And I have my playground, and I'm trying to figure out if I want to put my playground over in the healing garden or if I want to put the playground over in HMS Alexandria. I really want to keep it in Alexandria because it really, for me, it feels like people who've entered Alexandria are, well, it's basically, you know, when you're in school and you have clubs that you can attend, it's that. It's our school's clubs. So that's Anna's playground. And Anna's playground has layers to it. I've got the philosophers club in there. I've got a lot. So it's basically a logic school. That's literally what Alexandria is a logic school for the levels of consciousness and the lost science of comprehension. So, and that's really, that's what we teach there. And yeah, it's really, it's just a lot. It's just a logic school. Yeah, like it's a little thing. So I'm making my rounds, and I did my podcast. I did a blog post. I wrote a letter to my Imp King, and I make these rounds, and it's a day of silent contemplation, and I just take it all in. I familiarize myself with my new ethics, and it's definitely the concept of punish is like, that's really it, is I've abandoned the concept of punish. I did that a long time ago, but now it's really like, what are you doing? Punishment is like vengeance. It's just vengeance. It's morally justified vengeance. That's what it is. And it's such an archaic concept. And I look at it and it's, well, they got to pay. You think that's how people learn? That's not how people learn. People don't learn through consequence. You're not teaching forgiveness with vengeance and punishment. They need to learn love. They've already had a deficit of it. That's why they're having a problem, is because they have a deficit of love. What they need is love, but no one knows what that looks like. And the concept of a correctional facility, we're going to correct you. I really struggle with the concept of punishment, enforcement. I'm like, no. And it's not just, you can't just go out and say, oh, you can't do that. It's no. You've got to sit down and explain why it's not right. You got to explain the logic you have to teach. So, and 100% of it is really, if I were to break it down, yeah, I could see it. It's defensive. You've got a snarling dog in the corner, defensive, and the dog feels threatened. And people try and punish the dog that feels threatened. People try to teach the dog that feels threatened. People try to cage the dog that feels threatened. People beat the dog that feels threatened. Some people kill the dog that feels threatened. And I'm looking at this dog growling, snarling, acting defensively. And it's being, our options in our society is punish, teach, cage, beat, kill. And I'm going, Has anyone tried love? Has anyone tried love? The beautiful thing about love is it cures, it creates, it heals, and it nourishes if you're doing it right. And the levels of consciousness and the 12 ethical stages of growth are the ingredients for love. But people aren't going through them, so they don't know the ingredients of love. This is really awesome, where it's just on a societal whole of, isn't this fascinating? Everyone is stuck with only the first 4 ingredients of love, and they haven't even gotten that right. Most of us can't even get the first ingredient of love, which is courage. The second ingredient of love is vulnerability. The third ingredient is trust. And the fourth ingredient of love is self-control. And there's a lot of people who can't get those 4 first ingredients figured out. They don't even know they're supposed to be looking for them. They don't know how to access them. It's really fascinating to me. And those are that's just 25% of self-love. Just 25% of self-love. And most people cannot figure that out. It's hard. If you don't have a role model, it's hard. It's all the things that you can feel, but you can't identify. You need communication to be able to identify it. And for me, it's so simple because it's clear. But I got like 25 ethics in me. So yeah, it's going to be simple for me. So it's like, all right, let's transfer this over to people. Let's translate it and give them the ingredients and the recipes. So the first I of I was self-love. And the U of I is you love. It's you love. It's not they of I. It is we of I. First person point of view. Third person point of view. Second person point of view. That is the correct order. You have to study life through your point of view. And then you have to study life through their point of view. And then you have to integrate the two. So the correct order is not first, second, third person point of view. It's first, third, second person point of view. That is the order in which you see it, which means it's not I of I, you of I, they of I. It's I of I, you of I, we of I. I am in the we of I. Oh. I am in the we of I. There's going to be a lot of documentation I have to go back and correct. I'm not going to correct it. I'm going to have other people correct it for me. I'm just going to go back through, find all my documents, correct they of I, change it over to we of I, because there's a lot. I have over 3,000 posts. And yeah, it's we of I. I'm going to put like a little formerly they of I. That's how I'm going to handle that. It's we of I. But I also had you of I messed up. So it's I of I, you of I, we of I. We. Oh, it's working together. Look at that. That makes sense. Like I said, the first perspective of every grouping is all about organizing and contemplation. We use the word humble to try and explain this, and it is not humble. It is equal footing. That's what we've been trying to say. Humble and humility is not what we've been trying to say. We've been trying to say equal footing. And it's amazing how we bastardize our words when we're trying to communicate something we know nothing about. But you don't learn about equal footing until you complete the U of I. So somebody figured it out somewhere and passed it down the lines, and then everyone started to repeat it and mimic. And that's where the concept of humility and humble comes from. The problem is, I'm a BDSM mistress. Humble and humility, they mean degradation. Humility and humble means degradation. That's what they mean. So every time you say you need to be humble, what you're really saying is you need to be degraded. Every time you say you need some humility, what that means is you need to be degraded. Humility is synonymous with degradation. I want you to really process this. This is one of those words where we're throwing it around without a concept. We are destroying the ego every time we embrace humility. No, what you need is equal footing. That's what we've been missing. That is it right there. That is the lesson of the 12th ethic of the U of I. The 12th of the I teaches us equal footing. And then when you integrate, what you get is mindful preservation of others. So the 12th of you ethic is equal footing. And then the integration of all 12 ethics from the U of I is you love and mindful preservation and nourishment. You are learning how to preserve and nourish the self in the I of I. Now you need to learn how to preserve and nourish others despite your ignorance of others. That's what you learn in the U of I. And then, logical deduction, you integrate the two of them for the we of I. It's an integration of preserving you, empowering you and them while preserving and nourishing you and them. So it's a preservation, a nourishment, and an empowerment. And I'm the first to sit down and put word to all of this. Others before me did not articulate it. Others before me found it, and they tried. Look at the words of Nietzsche. He tried to communicate it. And so I'm the first to communicate it. And I can see now, this is what I'm excited about. I can't wait till everyone picks this up. There's going to be a massive wave of just people picking it up. And then we're going to see a culture form around preservation, nourishment, and empowerment. Oh my God, it's going to be beautiful. It's absolutely going to be beautiful. I am going to teach you all how to love. This is exciting. I'm very, very excited because I can already see it. Mathematical projection. You put this information, click it in, you put the, and I'm just going, I can already see it. And it's just, I've been able to see it for years. I first saw this in its completion in May of 2022, and I quit my job. I'm like, no, I'm doing this. this is what I got to do. And with the war coming, this is how you heal after the war. This is how you cope during the war. So I saw this thing of preservation, nourishment, and empowerment of self and others. And the healing garden was at the core of it. And I'm like, that's where I'm going. I got to go there. I just know I got to build this thing. And I had no idea how at the time. I had no fucking idea what I was doing. I just knew that's my destination. And it was the work I was doing on my own self that it had to be translated over, dissected, theorized, dissected, tested, and then translated and handed over to others. And it's just preservation, nourishment, and empowerment of the self and others. And we are going to have a culture of just this, and it's going to spread. And it's our natural state of living. And here's the thing is, earthquakes are still going to happen. But imagine them happening with preservation, nourishment, empowerment. And that's really, there's going to be things that still happen. There's still going to be plane crashes. But imagine them happening now with preservation, nourishment, and empowerment. That's the difference. We saw it, a sneak preview of it with 9/11. 9/11 happened. Preservation, nourishment, empowerment stepped in. New York City swarmed it. We became a brotherhood for a short time. Do you remember? Or have you forgotten? I hear the words, have you forgotten? And never forget regarding 9/11. And I don't remember the violence. I remember the brotherhood. I remember the bond. I remember the healing after. That's what I remember. I remember mankind at its most beautiful after 9/11. That's what I remember. And the concept of the campaign that fueled vengeance and rage. I'm a New Yorker. If anyone has the right to feel that fucking angry and pissed off, it's me. And all I can remember is the amount of healing and brotherhood after 9/11. I can remember the bond. I can remember how much. I remember this one day I was at the grocery store, and it was about 2 months after 9/11, and they announced the amount of money raised, that they had just closed the charity fund that they had raised for 9/11. And it was 3 times their goal. 3 times the money gold. And the entire store erupted into this massive explosion of joy and cheer. Because we were rebuilding New York. That's what I remember. And that's when I looked at it all and went, so this is what we're capable of. How about if we try this without 9/11 happening? How about if we live like this without shit hitting the fan? And it's a choice. It's a mindset. It's a lifestyle. And if enough people choose this mindset and lifestyle, it becomes a society. Because that's how societies are formed. It is an integrated mindset. So you get enough people with this mindset and lifestyle, and it becomes a system and a society. We can do it. We've done it. 9/11 showed us that. And it was a time where, I'm going to say it again. Every positive breeds a positive, but every negative breeds either a positive or a negative. Now, for every negative that breeds another negative, eventually because math says so, that negative is going to switch over to a positive. It's only a matter of time before all the negatives have turned over to positives, because positives breed positives and negatives breeds either a positive or a negative. So the trick is to turn all those negatives over to positives eventually. And now you have a choice: preservation, nourishment, empowerment. Choose. And eventually, every person who switches over to positive, they're going to band together. And then it will be a mindset. And then it will be a lifestyle. And then it will be a society. And then it will be a system. You just got to choose it. One person at a time. Thank you so much. And may the kindest of words always find you.